We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph in Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 53a. The Brisa says, Isha haisa boreres chitim. A woman was able to separate wheat la'or shel beis hashoeva by the light from the Simchas beis hashoeva. That's how bright the light was. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Chasidim ve'anshe Ma'aseh v'chulu. It said that the pious individuals, they would dance at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva. Tan Rabban and the rabbis taught, Yesh mehen omrim, this is a Tosefta. Some of them would say, Ashrei yuladasenu, shelo baisha ziknusenu. Fortunate were we in our youth that we haven't embarrassed ourselves in our older years. Elu Chasidim ve'anshe Ma'aseh. That refers to the Chasidim and the Anshe Ma'aseh. Rashi over here says, Elu Chasidim, kol chasid have a chasid meikaro. The idea of a chasid is they were chasid from when they were young. They didn't even sin when they were younger. That's the idea. Shelo baisha, shelo avarnu aver bialduseinu. We didn't do an aver when we were younger. Levayish as ziknusenu, which would have embarrassed us when we were older. Rashi back here, Yesh mehem omrim hainu tushbachtu demasnisim. This is the praise. We're trying to say what the praise is that they said that the Mishnah mentions. Shemeshabchin HaKadosh Baruch Hu akach. They would praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the following fashion. So again, Elu Chasidim v'Anshe Ma'aseh. That's the Chasidim and the Anshe Ma'aseh. They're the ones who said, fortunate that we did not sin in our younger years. The Yeshman Omer, and the other one said, Ashrei ziknuseinu shekafres yalduseinu. Fortunate are we in our older years that we get a kapara for any of the averes we did in our younger years. Elu Balei Tshuva. That's something that was said by the Balei Tshuva, those who did Teshuvah. Elu v'Elu Omer, and both groups would say, Ashrei mishalo chata. Fortunate is a person who does not sin. Umisha chata yashuv v'yimcholo. And somebody who did sin, a person should do Teshuvah, and then he will get a mechila, then he will get forgiveness. Tanya, we learned in a Brisa, Amru Alav al Hil Hazaken. They said about Hil Hazaken, Kishayasameach besimchas beis hashoeva. When he was happy at the Simchas beis hashoeva, Amar Kain, he said as follows: Imanikan hakolkan. If I'm here, then everybody's here. V'meinikan, and if I'm not here, mikan, who is here? Hu haya omer. He also used to say, Kain, as follows: Lamakam shani oev, to the place that I love. Sham raglai molichos osi. That's the place where my feet bring me. Im tavo el beisi, if you come to my house, ani yavo el beisecha, then I'm going to come to your house. Im atolo tavo el beisi, if you don't come to my house, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, if you don't come to the Beis HaMikdash, ani lo avo el beisecha, then I'm not going to come to your house. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, b'chol hamakam asher azker es shemi, everywhere where my name is mentioned, avo elechu v'rachtich, I'm going to come to you and I will bless you. And Rashi over here says, Im ani kan hakol kan doresh hayel rabim. So what he was doing was, Hillel was making a drasha to the public, shelo yechetu, that they shouldn't sin, b'shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imani kan, he said as follows: if I am here, hakol kan, everybody is here. Meaning, kozman shani chafetz b'bayis hazeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, as long as I desire this house, this Beis HaMikdash, u'shchinasi shruya bo, and my shchina rests in it, yehi chavodo kayim, then the covet will be lasting. V'yavo hakol kan, and everyone will come. V'im techetu, but if you sin, v'asalik shchinasi, and I remove my shchina, so mi yavo kan, who's going to come over here? The Gemara continues, Af hu ra golgolas achas. Hillel also saw a certain skull. Shetzaf al pnei hamayim, it was floating on the water. Amar lo, he said to the skull, al de'ataft, because you drowned others, atfuch, you were drowned, umatifech yitufun, and those who drowned you, they are going to be drowned as well. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says, ragloi dvarinish, the feet of a person, inun arvin lei, they are like the person's guarantor, they're responsible for him, la'asar de misboi taman, to the place that the person is required to go, movilin yosei, that's where they bring him. Rashi explains, shetzaf al pnei hamayim shechatchu es rosho, in other words, people cut off this individual's head, v'itilu l'mayim, they threw it into the water, v'hikar bo shurotzeach, he recognized that this individual was a murderer, upagu bo achshav listim kayotze bo, and therefore now other robbers, they met up with him and they decided to kill him. They realized he was a murderer, so they killed him. So Amar lo, so Hillel said, because you did this to other people, that's why these people did it to you. And l'sof matifach yitufun odiyova yom, another day will come. We're going to see their skulls floating, the ones who killed you. La'asar de misboi, again, then Rabbi Yochanan said, the place where a person is requested to go, his feet take him. L'makom shenigzar olav lamas. Rashi understands it to mean that the place where there's a gezerah, decree that the person should die, bo mishamu mispakesh litol nishmaso. From there, he's going to be requested. That's where his neshama will be taken. Taman movilin yosei. That's where l'sham raglav molichos. So his feet will bring him to that place where he's required to die. The Gemara continues, Hanu tarti kushai. There were two people from Kush. Rashi says they weren't actually from Kush. They were just very good looking, and so we we refer to people who are very good looking as being from Cush. Da'avukaymi kame Shlomo, they were in front of Shlomo, they served Shlomo HaMelech. Elichoref ve'Achia, their names were Elichoref and Achia. B'nei Shisha, they were the sons of Shisha. So from the Shlomo, they were the scribes of Shlomo HaMelech. They're actually mentioned in Sefer Melachim that they were the Sofrim of Shlomo. Havayum achad chazi l'malach hamavis davik ha'atziv. One day, Shlomo HaMelech saw the Malach HaMavis, he was sad. Amar Lei said to him, Amaya Tzivis, he said, why are you sad? Amar Lei said to him, D'kaboy minoi hani tarti kushoy di'as v'hacha, because min hashamayim, they're requesting that these two kushim that are sitting over here, that they should die today. So Masrinu l'seirim, so Shlomo HaMelech gave them over to the Shadim. Shadrinu l'mechuzah de Luz, and he sent them to the district of Luz. Kimatu l'mechuzah de Luz, when they reached the district of Luz, shechivu, they died. Lamachar, the next day, Chazi Malach HaMavis to have a kabodach. Shlomo HaMelech saw that the Malach HaMavis was laughing. Amar Lei said to him, Amai b'dichas, what are you laughing for? Amar Lei said to him, Basar deboy minay, in the very place where it was requested that that's where I take them, that that's where they die, Tamon shadrasinu, that's exactly where you sent them. Miyad pasach Shlomo v'yomer, immediately Shlomo HaMelech opened his mouth and he said, Ragloi devarin eshinon arvin bey, the feet of a person, they're responsible for him. La'asar demisboy Tamon movil yasei, to the exact place where the person's soul is requested, that's where his feet are going to bring him. Rashi over here says, "The kabomi noy elu misbakshim imenu lemala." She gives manam lamos again. Malach HaMavis says in Shamayim, they're asking that these people should die. V'lo haya yachol litol nishmasam kemin shelo nigzar aleim lamos kimishar Luz. Malach HaMavis was sad because he was only able to kill them in the gate of Luz, in the district of Luz, and they were not in Luz. So Masrinu Shlomo l'seirim l'shedim. Shlomo HaMelech gave them over to the Shedim. Shu haya melech aleim. Shlomo HaMelech, it says he was the king over the Shedim. So the Shedim are the ones that brought these people to Luz. Amtinu l'mechuzah de Luz. Ir she'ein Malach HaMavis sholet besocha. Shlomo HaMelech was thinking that Luz was a city where the Malach HaMavis has no rulership. Kedamin besoda, that's what it says in Sota. And again, Arvin Beil HaShamayim Mishal Min Arvusan. The feet are the ones that pay back that which Shamayim is requesting. The feet will bring the person to the place where the soul is requested. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Brayso, they said about Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, when he was rejoicing at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, he would take 8 torches that were lit on fire, he would juggle them, and they wouldn't even touch each other in the air. When he would bow, he would stick his 2 thumbs into the earth. He would bow down, kiss the floor, and then he would stand up. No creature was able to do this physical feat. This is what we call keda. That kind of bowing is referred to by this term keda. Levi showed Rebbe how to do keda. And he ended up injuring his leg. He became lame. So the Gemara says, 1 second, is that what caused him to become injured, to become crippled? But Rebbe Lazar said, a person should never speak inappropriately towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in a harsh manner towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There was a great person who did that. He became crippled, he became injured. Umanu, and who was that great individual? Levi. It was Levi. So you see, that's what caused Levi to become injured. It wasn't the fact that he tried to demonstrate Keda. So the Gemara answers, Havaha Garmale, both things actually caused it to happen. It was a combination of these 2 incidents. And the Gemara continues, Levi Havamitayal Kame de Rebbe Betamni Sakini. Levi would dance before Rebbe, juggling 8 knives. Shmuel Kame Shavor Malka Betmanya Mozge Chamra. Shmuel would juggle before King Shapur. He would juggle 8 glasses of wine. Abaya Kame de Rava Betmanya Bey. Abaya would dance in front of Rava with 8 eggs. V'amrila Barba Bey. Some people say with 4 eggs. And Rashi says, Kame de Rebbe Bebeso in his house. Shoya Nasi, because Rebbe was the Nasi, was the prince. Umechavden also Lasamcho, and he would honor him and make him happy. Because he was always worried about the pain of Klal Yisrael. And Shavor Malka's King Shapur Melech Prasaya, he was the king of Persia, so that's what Shmuel would dance before. Mazge Chamra Koso Zechuchis Meleim Yain, it was cups filled with wine. He would juggle them, Ve'en Hayayin Nishbach, and the wine would not spill out. And we will just note over here that the Masoras Hashas changes this not from Rava, but it's Rabbah, that Abai would do the juggling in front of Rabbah. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Bryce, Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya. Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananya says, Kishayinu Samechem Simchas Beis HaShoeva. When we were rejoicing at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, Lo Re'inu Sheina Beinenu, we didn't sleep. Ketzad Hauso, Shori Shona Tamid Shal Shachar. The first hour we would bring the carbon tamid of the morning. Misham Latfila, from there we would daven. Misham Carbon Musaf, from there to the carbon Musaf. Misham Latfila Samusaf, and from there to the prayer of Musaf. Misham Beis HaMedrash, from there we would go to the Beis Medrash. Misham Lachilu Shasiyah, from there we would go to eat and drink. Misham Latfila Samincha, from there we would daven Mincha. Misham Latamid Shal Bein Harabayim, and then we would go and bring the tamid of the afternoon. Mikan Voelach LeSimchas Beis HaShoeva, and then from then on we would celebrate at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva. And so the Gemara asks, Ini, is that really so? Are you really able to go so long without sleep? Rabbi Yochanan said, Shvu Shlo Ishan Shlosha Yamin. Let's say a person takes an oath that they're not going to sleep for 3 days. Malkin or so, we give him lashes. V'yashin Laltri has to go to sleep immediately. In other words, we assume he'll never be able to fulfill such an oath. So the Gemara says, rather what he meant to say was as follows: Lo ta'amnu tam sheina. Even though we slept, it didn't really feel like we were ever sleeping. We would just doze off on each other's shoulders during the days of the Simchas Beis HaShoeva. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Chomesh Esrei Malos, there were these 15 stairs between the Ezras Yisrael and the Ezras Noshim that the Levium would stand on when they were singing at the Simchas Beis HaShoeva. So Amar Le Rav Chisda Lahumi de Rabbanan, Dav Komesader Agarata Kamei. Rav Chisda said to one of the Rabbanan who was organizing Agaratas in front of him, he said as follows: Amar Le said to him, Shmiya lo chani Chomesh Esrei Malos keneged mi Amram David. These 15 Shir Hamalos, the David HaMelech said, what do they correspond to? So Amar Lei, so I said back to him, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, this is what Rabbi Yochanan said, B'shah shakara David shisin kafa tahoma. When David HaMelech dug the drain pipes underneath the Beis HaMikdash, u'bay l'mishtafa alma, and they were going to drown the entire world, Amar David chamesh esrei malos v'horidan. So David HaMelech said the 15 shir malos, and it caused the waters to go down. Rashi says, "B'shah shakar David shisin v'lo svira lei shemisheches mei bereshis nivra." Now, this opinion over here does not hold like what we quoted earlier, that these drain pipes were created during the sheishes mei bereshis. V'svira lei, and if this opinion holds that they were created during the sheishes mei bereshis, shema nismalu afar tzroros v'tzarach lichrosan. So maybe they got filled up with dirt or pebbles or whatever the case may be, and so he needed to redig them. So in any case, that's the idea of the shir hamalos. It was to force the water to go back down. So the Gemara says, if so, chamesh esrei malos, yardos mibayla. Why is it shir hamalos? Why is it lifting up? It should be yardos. You're trying to make things go down. Malos implies that you're trying to make something ascend. So Amar Lei, so he said to him, Hoil v'it karta an hachi itmar. He said, since you reminded me of this matter, you brought up this matter, here's what was actually said with regards to this story. Here's the full story. B'shah shakar David shisin kafet tahoma, bo l'mishtafa alma. So again, David HaMelech was digging the shisin and these drain pipes that were under the Beis HaMikdash, and they were gonna sweep through the world, drown the world. So Amar David, so David said, Mi'iko de yadei shayla michtav shem. Does anybody know if it's permissible to write down the Shem Hashem? Rashi over here says, Mika diyada David lo yamor halacha b'fnei Rabbi Achitofel. David would not issue any halachic rulings in front of his Rebbe Achitofel. V'hu Yasham, he was there. So he was basically asking a halachic shaila, can we use the Shem Hashem to stop this water from flooding the world? And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis.